That's what we're saying. I'm gonna do mine later, most of it, because I have all my meetings are like this week.
Did mine today.
Yeah, got it, Brian. I'll sign the card before I got to the reception.
In the wind.
Oh,
Well,
he's probably afraid it's gonna be wet turd this week.
Perfect card for that. Turn under.
Must, fortunate must stop.
Well, that's.
2 days. Stay there, not to go to shit. You know, say, well, it down. Oh, all right. We're trying to do this. Sort of staff voting. Is that minute. Much, oh, yeah. Hopefully there, so they need to again. So I got it. Yeah. Jay's still working. Good, Shane White. Yeah.
Hey, there's a card going around for Helen Finn. She's 100 today.
Okay.
Graduated career high school number 34, she's all excited. Her family was back to Iowa.
Yeah.
She was so excited to go across the Mississippi River. Got a picture of the parade.
Yep, that's cool.
She's turning 100. Today is 100. Grew up Virginia.
So, Richard, where's Janet, who's supposed to be sitting in front of us?
Minnesota.
You know, the person that blocks the.
Oh, yeah,
people?
8:30.
Oh, that's great.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning.
Morning.
For the minutes, we have a quorum, all are present. First thing we need to do is approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Bye.
Opposed, motion carries. Public comments? Open up for Public comments?
Down here.
Okay.
We were coming in and with Nancy and I make bets whether or not we're gonna make it for the pledge of allegiance or not. I lost today. Yeah, I just originally bought the card thinking that, today is Helen Finn's 100th birthday. She grew up in Tama County, although the family originally they came originally from Europe to here. And then that branch went to Wisconsin, and then they came back here in 1934. And she talked about how exciting it was to know you're gonna go across the Mississippi River and then to do it, and they had like a picture of the bridge. So their family put together a big shindig on Saturday, and it was like a 15-minute thing that rivaled Ken Burns' best work, I'll tell you. So it's very interesting, and I think we were talking earlier, how do you document some of these Tama County stories? Where do you we don't really have public access channels here in Tama County.
Not that I know of,
Yeah.
but thanks for doing that.
And so if anyone would like to sign
Yeah. Happy birthday, 100.
maybe we should.
Yeah.
Sing it. Happy birthday. Anyway.
So I missed the name. Who is it?
Helen
Helen
Finn,
Finn, she's from Maine.
she was a few years ahead of you.
Sounds like a Bohemian to me.
Good job,
And any other comments? Go ahead.
We have a moment, I'm gonna see if I can share this
Oh.
picture.
That must not have been it.
And then go in. So this, not the greatest, but this is Ava Bolt. She is a freshman at South Tama. I'm trying to admit this person on that. Get up there. I'm sorry. It's jumping all over, sorry. Yep. Right, well, I'm trying to share a different screen, that's causing a problem. Yeah, let me minimize here, I gotta let that person that quick. Oh, maybe, there we go. Yeah, they look pretty good. Oh, you're there, okay, so this is Ava Bolt, let me get back to that screen. She is a freshman at South Tama High School, And she participated in the Western National Archery Tournament, this past Friday and Saturday. She brought home first place at Bullseye for high school girls. She brought home first place for high school girls in 3D. And she also brought home first place overall for Bullseye and first place overall for 3D girls.
That's awesome.
Oh, very good.
Yep, very
Jason
good.
needs to hire her.
She's a good shot.
She's my neighbor, so she
You better be careful.
Mark needs to hire her.
stay on the right side. Congratulations to Ava that she's got many years ahead of her. She's just a freshman, so.
We do have, Tim Shandonia will be participating in Eastern Nationals. I can't remember the date. They're coming up in a couple weeks, I believe. So we have a chance at possibly another one that will be bringing us home some,
Hardware?
yep.
Right.
That's awesome.
And Tim has shot a perfect 300 in the past.
That's bowling.
Yeah, that's archery.
Richard?
Yes, Mark, at the end of this meeting, can you move the public comments up to in front of the closed session?
Well, we already approved the agenda, but I can
Okay, I didn't know.
circle back.
You act like you got things to do.
I might.
But don't rain, right?
He's gotta go home and tie down his stuff for the storm of the century.
Yes, yeah.
I've had 2 drinks. Nothing that's gonna blow is gone already.
Okay.
Just nothing will happen after closed session. So,
Right, yeah, we should have all of our business done before then.
thank you.
Well, except are you going to, after closed session, are you gonna reopen it for commentary or? You just asked.
It's just that.
Well, we could do it. We could,
Before you have, went back up and.
he asked to move it ahead of that.
I know. But after closed session, then are you going to do anything more as
Adjourn.
far as
If we move,
comment or update or something like that?
We can set a record and have 3 public comments. If you want.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, we can't take,
We don't wanna miss anything.
there won't be any action we can take after closed session.
Right.
So it's just a discussion with our legal counsel.
Any other comments? Anybody online? Okay, close public comments. We need to discuss and approve the 4/21/25 regular meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Been moved,
second.
been moved and seconded. Discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next thing we need to do is discuss and approve the 4/22/25 special meeting minutes.
Make that motion.
Second. Been moved and seconded, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben.
Morning.
Morning.
We've been, spot rocking last week. We got all the snow fronts off, so shouldn't have any more snow. See.
Don't say that.
Yeah, I know. First one, yeah. Got our dust control list. We give them until May 15th is kind of bringing in and start applying. Got a few of our approved dust control people, and we'll be kind of looking at those areas to see if they need rock blading and all that sort of stuff. Getting that applied. Last week, hydro seeded on B Avenue, regrade we did last year, and then this week we'll be hydro seeding on K Avenue, just by evidence. And the rest of the shop, have been torn down this past week, and then all of that is concrete slab, so we'll be kind of, fully chipping away at get that slab out of the way, and then that should be, our part in getting that down, so, and then myself and the assistant foreman and the road foreman We'll be attending the OSHA 10-hour class this by Holmes Murphy this week. That's Wednesday and Thursday, so. Wednesday is kind of 8 to 4, and then can't do all 10 hours in a day, so they're gonna do more.
Is this local?
It'd be in one.
In one.
Yep. 71, yeah. Or. Like metro areas. And then I have for you here. The union voted on doing, 4 10-hour days. They did vote, on, you know, doing Monday through Friday and Tuesday through Friday, doing split, and they voted no on that. And so that's where what I have here, is just the four 10-hour days. For Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday, so.
So there will be no coverage on Fridays?
It'd be whatever, typically we'd have, if there was emergency or whatnot, have somebody come in, with overtime. That's, I think it's only 12 or 16 days. But it's the fire size. Usually, I think one or two times on Friday, we have somebody come out, so it's not very often.
Is the office staff like
Yeah,
there and,
Office staff
Okay.
is there,
so they don't do the 4 hour or 4 days, 10 hours?
correct? Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so they can man the phone and stuff
Yeah,
like that?
correct. You know, an issue or something, I drive up and see what. When we get somebody in or not, so.
Do we need a motion? I'll make that motion. We accept the 10-hour days.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
Okay.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Billy permits from Tip, rural electric coffee. Tip and lines,
Be at the both team match.
in the back slope of the right of way, what's this? M Avenue. Starting at. Actually, 7. So it looks like they currently have lines that are in, it's not an easement with the landowner, and so now they're currently with trees and whatnot, they're wanting to put it around that curve there on the west side. 1 through, I guess, 2 through 8, so.
Any questions for Ben on the utility permit?
No.
We'll need a motion.
I'll make a motion, we accept the utility permit.
I'll second it.
Been moved and second. Discussion, sorry.
Like, no, I'm good.
Okay. Good.
Yep.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I was asking, what is the distance between the center of the road and the end of the sidewalk?
Depends on, but usually it's typically from the center of the road to the edge is 50 feet. Some of our level Bs. So.
So it's very.
And then our highways, if, you know, they could be about 60, yeah, okay, from the center line over, so it's just. Kind of on it. Thank you, bud.
Usually the faster the speed limit, the more right way you're taking. Just it's 65 feet.
No, it's 66 feet from one side to the other, one side to the other, so.
From where? Did you-
From the fence, roughly the fence line to fence line, or 33 from the center of the road. The section line in most cases, but, yeah, thanks.
Are you done discussing now?
Yes.
Ben, got one thing for you. So I'm getting road complaints on 220th. It's where you put the rock was put down, the new rock, and now with the equipment all there, it's getting tore up. They're turning around in people's driveways, the neighbor there, and, I guess we're gonna figure out how to do that, you know? So think through that, but I don't know how roads get taken care of with all this equipment starting to show up, so.
Yep.
But we're getting 3 complaints already, so, and your new rock's gone is what I hear, so.
It's just east of,
It's, right there, be right off of 63 on 220th. Yep,
thanks.
thank you.
Alrighty. Drop down to the auditor's quarterly report.
My regular quarterly report of what we deposited.
Second,
To accept the auditor's quarterly report, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Oops, motion carries. Next. Vote, discussion, possible action on health insurance effective dates change.
Anything, otherwise we can.
And Sam Rusher calls on, so, I don't know,
Basically what that is when a new employee starts, I believe we want to have their insurance be effective, the first of the following month after they start. And then when an employee leaves employment, we'd like their insurance to end at the end of the month instead of the day when they leave.
looks like Paul is prepared to talk.
Oh, you're doing great. Aaron sums it up perfectly.
Paul had been in, speaking with, Northwest Partners regarding that.
Okay.
Motion that change the health insurance effective dates to what you said. And then was it seconded, I have discussion.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Okay, what you got?
So I need to know, did it change the rates that we're going to pay by moving this, or they stay exactly the same?
As far as I
But they-
understand,
Yeah, they stay exactly the same. There's no additional cost to the county.
I know this is something when we came in, we're like, why is it 60 days? That seems like a lot, you know, not just for us, but for any employee. If you have a family and you get hired on at Tama County, to wait 60 days is a long time to have to get on Cobra or to go find, you know, some other type of insurance. So appreciate, Paul, Michelle and Karen working on this and getting this, quickly fixed, I guess, to help employees who want to work for Tama County.
Yep, we appreciate that. We were, this is one of the things that we wanted to see happen, to make us more competitive, to retain our employees and to attract new employees, who come to Tama County. There are some jobs here that allow you to get, benefits on your first day of work, and that puts us at a disadvantage to be able to, compete with those employers. And so we appreciate the change. I thought that was gonna have to be next year. When the insurance people were here, we thought that we'd have to wait a year, so we're thankful that we can be able to do this sooner than that. So, any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. David,
I have really no updates. Power will leave it, we're still waiting for people to get back to us.
motion to the table.
Can we make this as an ongoing? Yes, I'll table this and like to table, it, but have it continue to appear on the agenda because we've got to get the stumps taken care of. Okay. So I'll make a motion, we table it for this week.
I'll second it.
It's been motion and seconded to table the item, the POE phone options. Discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, discussion and possible action to repeal ordinance 6.5 wind energy conversion resolution 4-28-2025A repealing Tama County Ordinance VI, or 6.5 Wind Energy Conversion Assessment Ordinance. Those are maybe two separate items.
It should just.
Or is it just on there twice?
That resolution is just the name of that
Oh, yeah.
resolution, that's why.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, sorry. It's one item, so go ahead, Heather.
I guess let's, if that's okay, do a motion a second first and then we can just have a discussion, I think would be best, so.
Okay.
So I can make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved and seconded.
So I've been doing a ton of research and just reaching out to legislation, reaching out to other counties that have turbines, looking through it, so. Ultimately, there's two different options. You either have the ordinance or you don't have the ordinance. You have the ordinance, like we said before, it's gonna be 0%, 5%, up to 30% max by year 7. And that assessment value never changes, which, you know, we have a wind farm from 2012 that's repowered, that assessment never changes, which is not good, right? But we're still getting 30%. So we're getting the taxes that once we pay down our TIF loan, we'll be able to start getting that in 6 years. The other method to go do utility replacement tax, the challenges with that is they won't, the Department of Revenue will not give you the exact formula or an actual example. And it's proprietary. What the wind companies are actually generating is why it's, you know, taxes and it passes our local assessor and goes to the state. State, you know, divvies it out between the state, the county, the cities, the schools. So there's a lot of gaps in that. So, like I said, there definitely needs to be something, because right now neither way is the best option. So my opinion is I want to work with our local legislators and I want to try to get a better option. I think if we could, you know, like the Vienna wind farm, if we could have a way where they could update to when repowering happens, a new assessment can be done or the assessment can increase, right? So we already have this wind farm. Can we bring in more tax revenue from that? So I feel like personally we should hold off and we should, you know, not do it, not change today, I guess, because there's a risk of if the wind company, you know, doesn't report as much, or let's say subsidies go away and these things quit spinning, then we get no money, right? So I think for the moment, I'll get more information. My thought is to just leave our current ordinance in place, but I'll take your guys' feedback on what you guys think is that as well, but.
We got anything?
I agree. We need to make sure that the county is being well cared for by any entity that works in it and pays taxes. Be subsidizing things in any way, and I don't think it's fair to the rest of the taxpayers. People come in and don't pay a fair share. So I agree. I'd like you to continue to research that, so.
Yeah.
I will.
I did some research and this is the most I've ever learned about the taxing structure. A couple of things to note. One is that these are the only two options we have for taxing. One of the things that Heather had brought up is if you go to a consumption or a production tax, how much energy is produced, some of the energy can be shipped out. And that's why there's some flexibility with where that power is sent, not necessarily where it's generated, but where it's consumed. And so that's way that they can keep their costs down, particularly in an area where the wind turbines are generating the energy. So that's one thing. Another thing is that back in 2013, when wind energy became a little bit more popular in Mahaska County, wind turbines went in when I was a county supervisor there. And what we understood, there's two taxing formulas at that time too, but the tax rate at which there's a lot of zeros and then 0.16 that you could go to this consumption tax. We were told that the wind turbines couldn't be, they couldn't cash flow themselves. So that other ordinance had to be adopted to go to the formula that we're under right now. A lot of counties refuse to adopt it as a way to make sure that if they're going to have wind turbines, that there's going to be a lot of dollars that are going to be available. Well, the federal government, now the state government, has given tax credits to wind companies and to solar companies to be able to generate wind. The way they do that, instead of being 1.6, that rate that it's taxed at, it's 0.6. And so that makes it where we're losing money. If we adopt this resolution, Tama County, from what we understand, stands to lose money. And so it would be a no-brainer to keep it the way it is. We have to work with our legislators if we want to change that back to the original formula. That would be a way that we could generate quite a bit more money off of these. So that's my take. I think if we passed the resolution today, it would ultimately cost us money. Any projects that are already going, like the Vienna project, should we adopt this, they would still be taxed under the old taxing formula we have right now until year 19 from their original. So they still have quite a few years that they would still be under that anyway. So if we get better legislation and clearer understanding of what numbers are there, we could adopt it if it became more advantageous to the county in the future. But as for today, this is probably not a good thing to pass. So I'm going to vote no as well.
And one thing to add on to Mark's as well is after this was put on the agenda again, I learned that Madison County did repeal this. So it is repealed for them, and they don't know, they look at it, one, they repealed from that 2020 legislation changed and, made it so it wasn't like you're gonna bring in 100% of those property taxes, right? So every time that, someone changes, then it changes at the state. So yeah, we need to just work with the state, and I know Madison County still has it, but they're like a couple years after what Vienna would be. They still have like 10 years until it would go into effect. So yeah, I think it's something we should keep our eyes on and talk to legislation for sure.
Any other discussion? Essentially what the state has done is made it a loser if you go either way for the county. There's no protections there. Iowa's very wind friendly, solar friendly, alternative.
There goes the power.
The storm is here.
Perfect time.
They're very, pro. And so if there's counties that are wanting to maintain their current status, then I think that we're swaying against the state's wishes anyway, so. Alright, call the question. All those in favor say aye.
You got a resolution,
Oh,
right?
I'm sorry, go roll call. And it's a no if you're not supporting.
So Kurt, Miller,
No.
Turner,
No.
Nibble,
No.
Dolan,
No. Motion fails. Alright, and discussion, possible action to approve yard cleanup at Union Grove Lake.
so I put that on the agenda. We have a gentleman, and last year, I believe, and maybe the year before, there is a nuisance property at Union Grove Lake, and this Bill Fry usually does the cleanup of the yard and mowing of the yard, so it stays nice looking. He bills the county, you guys pay the bill, and then we send that bill on to the owner. Homeowner usually doesn't pay it, then usually tax time, that person will pay what his taxes done, so it does get paid back. Just asking for approval to continue that process.
Okay,
So move.
Second.
moved and seconded. Discussion. Heard that it's a good thing, that it's a benefit to the county, so. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion possible action to approve members to the Tama County Essential Service Advisory Council.
So did you get the minute? I've had assets to be put on. Give me the message for Billy.
Yep, so she said Lori is taking Shannon's off to the spot, and then we need to do Chris Harrison as an alternate for the FEMA ambulance.
Okay, sorry.
I'll approve of that. those moves.
I'll second it.
Just second. Discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any hiring freeze
Yep,
exemptions?
that has one.
Ben?
Search through labor. One that's resigned. One's for the DOT. So, just looking to get for snow and also for returns, so.
This would be a motion to open or approve the
Exemption.
advertising of it.
It'd be to fill it before July 1st.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Okay, it's been moved
Second.
and seconded. One thing we need to question, he was gonna take vacation time all the way until,
Correct. But I guess if we just did the deal of, I guess,
the
the,
payout.
The health insurance,
best insurance.
that's generally why our employees will do that, is so that their health insurance carries until the new health insurance starts where he's going. So if we're going to make that effective right away, that his health would not end. Although, is he gonna be okay if it ends the end of May? Cause he was gonna work into June, or he was gonna have leave into June.
I guess. Okay.
Double check with him on that, cause that was his point, I believe.
Yeah, that was the reason for that.
So with our new policy, if he's on vacation time into June, it would cover him all week.
But then the other side, I don't know, this policy states that they can use, leave at the end.
Right.
Because that also does continue their IPers without, cutting IPers. I don't know if that's an issue for the employee in question or not, but just another reason that people use, a lump sum payout does not go towards IPers. But if you use your leave, it does. So that's just another possible, like I said, I don't know on this employee if that matters or not. I figured the health insurance was an issue for.
Yeah, with knowing that side of it, but I think. Check on, make sure. Will be. I guess a few, which, where you want to go, but that's. We probably want to, with our new policy, we wouldn't want to cover them all the way to the end of June, wait.
Yeah, because probably something we need to look at making a new policy to cover that, how the health insurance ends. In regard to if somebody's using their leave at the end or how. Yeah, and like that, then realistically, you guys would need to do probably a memorandum of understanding with the union as well.
So, just so I'm clear, if I work for Ben and I'm on vacation into June, I'm still an employee on vacation.
Yeah.
So based on what we just passed, he would be covered until the end of June.
Correct.
Correct.
That's where I would,
But I don't have a problem with that. That's a decision we made. So, and then what we're trying to do is find something to replace it. That's a secondary issue. That's probably not on.
Correct. That at least gives clarification that he would go till the end of June then.
Yes, sir.
And am I correct, Trevor, would we need to do memorandum of understandings with the unions?
With the change, I would say yes.
Sure, it's that the union employees are also covered with that change because their contracts they supersede our handbooks. So we'll probably need to draw one up. Which actually I have another one I need to get drawn up. I actually think I had put it on here, I think, but I never got it drawn up. Is there one on there? No. Good, I didn't put it on. I didn't get there right.
Alrighty, so you're looking to prefer to start May 27th for the new person?
May 27th, because that was, I'd probably say June, around the June timeframe. Right now, we need to offer it to the union first for 10 days. So we'll offer it to the union for 10 days and then, that's where I was kind of, you guys have, yeah, after we get to opportunity, so.
We make the start date after the other person leaves,
Yeah,
so there's no overlap.
correct, yeah, I guess we can, or if we just in there, just specify that, cause we can work. See if they, Sure, something this April, ending in May, if, or the, for him to end in May versus ending in the beginning of June, so that is fully something that he'll be covered with his new insurance, after a month,
Okay.
so.
So the question I was asking for the start date that you're looking for, is that after he's off on vacation? Or is it once he goes on vacation?
After he's gone. After his technical last day, not in body, but.
Okay.
There's Trevor again, no alarm.
Keeping everybody working.
I would point out though on that, Mark, it is kind of irrelevant realistically on the double pay as to hire someone, where you hire someone right away. If he took, no matter what, that employee is getting that payout. Whether he draws it out or he takes it all lump sum, he's gonna get that payout either way. So you would almost basically be double paying regardless because he has that leave time. Just to clarify that is not.
So can we change the start date without, since we already have a motion?
You could vote for an amendment.
I guess how critical is it to get him in before the fiscal year ends? I mean, we keep like back in the dates, is it better to get him in May and June, or our fiscal year starts, July 1st? Like, what would make the most sense? Based on his workload and what's going on for projects.
We are starting with what we got going on for the bridge crew. It'd be nice to get somebody in for here. So I'd say beginning of June. I guess. Cause I know that you have to post it, so that's kind of a, done, so it'd be where is it?
Be the 12th.
We made 12.
Yeah, playing May 12th, and then, we got, the paper for however many weeks, and then, so I'd say probably June 9th, is probably more likely,
This.
probably the earliest, but, having it posted and then getting interviews and all, and then also after we do the interviews, their 2 weeks or whatever they have to do with their current employer, so. Probably June 9th would be more.
I think the motion on the table is good. Just understand that our direction to you is to try to work, to make those things more cohesive. His ending date, your starting date.
Okay.
Cause whoever you put on will have to go through this. Okay. For discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any more? Like,
Claims. This is one of the lower. Claims for this week are $92,044.14. So 92,044.14.
Guess we vote on it.
claims.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll have updates by districts.
I don't have much.
You haven't been driving out? You ain't got no calls?
I have a call that I gotta check out today. Yeah, on the way home. But other than that, I haven't. Of course, you got the usual Facebook warriors.
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah, that's them too, yeah. But, that was just going down a hill. It was rain. And a lot of times we don't have ditches on top of those hills, 'cause there's, I mean, it's just. So it's just the usual stuff, but as far as projects and things going on, I really don't have much.
Okay.
Okay.
Mine will be a little shorter today too, because most of my meetings are this week. But I know 4 out of 5 of us did county government day, which was a good experience to talk with juniors and seniors in all the schools around Tama County and all the different departments. And that's one and all the different rooms. So that was a good experience. So to be able to educate them on county government. IT, David and I did some interviews. We probably have additional interviews or second rounds, so still more to come on that, but we do have the posting still open at this moment to continue that process. And then, yeah, like I said, I got the Heartland Risk Pool and my DCAP meetings this week, so I'll have that to update. I'll put it on one of the next 2 weeks. That way I don't have to wait a whole nother month. So I'll give you guys updates on those once I get that done.
Next week, we put that on the agenda for.
Yeah, I might need to go to the safety meeting though so I might have to do mine in 2 weeks unless we do it early in the agenda. So, yep,
Okay.
But whatever you guys want to do.
Okay. I continue to work with the mental health, region as they wind down. I attended the meeting last week in Grenada Center, and we're wanting to be wrapped up by the end of, or by July 1st. They're going to stop taking claims, mental health claims from providers July 31st. And they have until December 31st to wind the region completely down. We did enter into a contract with CICS, their disability access point, to start handling the claims after July 1st. There'll be at least 3 staff on, still on the payroll, as contractors because they're self-insured. So they have to divvy out what's going to happen with the self-insured, money. And then, after they do that, they'll have claims still coming in for a while. So there's going to be a need for some people to stay around to wind that down. They're looking to do it as quick as possible so that they can move on with their lives. It's going to be the CEO of the region, the vice or I think they will have to keep on for that. What that looks like moving forward for mental health. The new provider is going to be given, I guess, whatever the balance is that's left over in there to address mental health as they're taking over in the behavioral health district. We're actually going to geographically move. We'll shift more to the west and to the north in that behavioral health district. Something that Casey had talked about last week. I think DHS or HHS came in and talked to them in a breakout session last week about what that looks like for the sheriff's departments. Really the biggest piece that we have is our judicial mental health advocate, Libby Reekers. They're going to continue to reimburse us for reasonable costs. I say that they will. It says that they may, as long as it's reasonable, and then reasonable is in quotation marks. And so we want to be real careful with what we're doing there.
Should be your weight.
They're going to continue to reimburse for mental health medications for sure. And they're going to continue to reimburse for transportation for mental health patients that are under the sheriff's care. So the main change is going to be, I guess, the governmental body is going to look different. It started out as county supervisors. All of that went away. And then it kind of flip-flopped, and then the people who are actually providing the care became the decision makers with policy makers at the legislature. And that's all going to be moved to a private it's going to be a contractor that's going to basically be a fiscal agent, for who gets paid and for these services that are laid out by the legislature, so. A lot of changes. I don't know, what that looks like for the roadmap moving forward. I think that the more you take away local control and local decision-making for any kind of service, particularly dealing with mental health, when we are a resource poor, very resource poor when it comes to mental health, providers in this area. And so we're going to try to work to address some of those gaps. I think that it was last week when Casey had his very good and lengthy and valid points that he made on mental health, in trying to implement a law enforcement strategy when we have so many mental health crisis and concerns coming up because of our lack of providers. It's a great thing to identify and to try to figure out how can we address those as a local government. When the state has taken everything over, it's still up to us. We're still responsible to our, for our citizens and their mental health, as well as their medical health. Those things have been tasks to us. And so I've met a couple of times with public health to see what we can do to expand and broaden our services that we offer in Tama County when it is related to mental health. Casey sits on that board, and so I've got a presentation I'm going to give at their mental health board meeting. I believe that's today. And so hopefully we can start more of a conversation. I was hoping that that Mike would put more in the newspaper about that last week, but it seemed to be more consumed with Bob's acceptance of his resignation than the mental health. And so mental health, it seems like, always gets shuffled to the side. So we have to make this a priority. We have to make this an issue because it's not going to get any better, and I'm not going to stop. I'm going to continue to push forward for it as a mental health advocate myself. That's the main board. I think that moving forward, we're going to try to address. I've listed out. I sent Casey and to Lori Johnson and Libby Reeker's template of all of the services that are needed for mental health and all that are being provided already and who's providing them. And so that we can look and see where we have gaps so that we can start recruiting. Most of these services will be reimbursable, or they'll just be complete nonprofits that we are completely out of, but we have to have some kind of coordination and understanding so we can get that information out. There's a lot of services that we have here for mental health that are supposed to be provided, but they say that they provide services here, but we're not accessing them. So we need to make sure that whatever we're being offered, that's going to work for us. Because for example, there's a mobile crisis unit that will come out. You know, they can send two counselors out and they can assess somebody who's in crisis. A lot of times, I think in a lot of the big cities, that's diverted mental health committals, or at least bringing them to the emergency room by like between 70 and 80%. That's a huge, huge number. Because if you can divert those things, you reduce cost. And rather than taking them to the emergency room, you can take them to a crisis stabilization unit, or you can do safety planning. There's all kinds of things you can do besides putting them in the back of a squad car or ambulance and taking them to the hospital if they don't need it. So reduces the cost and improves their quality of life. We want to start looking at some of those things. That's what I'll continue to look at and moving forward. And if anybody has any questions or wants to be a contributor to the discussion, we certainly want people from the public to be involved because we know that it touches just about everybody.
Let's see, I don't have much this week for this month. I have board to sit on. But I have a lot of calls and stuff like that I've been addressing too. We're still working through a few of them. I got a couple south of the table that I'm working on. Some driveway stuff, but been working with Ben on that, get that ironed out. Other than that, that's probably about all I got for this. I mean, I've been around out about my business, traveling the roads, working, doing what I do. Anything I've been seeing, I've been noting, so that's about it.
I have two I can talk about now, and then I've got another meeting today at noon, Marshalltown. So the new emergency services teams met, and they're still ironing it. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice, sorry. They're ironing out the handshake agreements that happened over years and years ago to determine who's providing service in what area. And, for example, the Dizer ambulance service actually covers a whole bunch of western Benton County, thank you. And, Benton County has said, we're not gonna pay you. They're also getting the same money. So there's a lot of little things that they're working on, who's gonna get what money. They're also trying to figure out how do they divvy out this money that comes in starting in October. And so they're looking at, and they voted on to use acreage and a number of calls for service, where they actually go out. And the acreage will not change. I don't think Tatum County's gonna give up any of our land, hopefully not. But the number of service calls they make every year is going to change, and so that will determine how much money goes to which ambulance and fire and whatever else service out falls underneath that. So they're still working those things out. We just, two more people to the board. They, replaced the treasurer, the money. I believe they were caring how to port those monies, I guess you call them warrants, when they come in. So I talked to them about the 911 side, kind of that's yours, but also the new 911 guide comes into play 5th of May. They need to identify how they're coding these responses so that when it comes time to take them, the responses and plug them into the spreadsheet to generate where the money's going to go, they need to be consistent. So if two ambulances are dispatched, or two different districts are dispatched, we need to know that. Yeah, it'd be just like we dispatched two. So more to come on that. And I can't remember the guy's name that's actually gonna follow up on that, but that's in play. Then I went to the juvenile detention center Friday. Same thing with mental issues. People are being sent to jails. People are being sent, in the case of juveniles, up to the juvenile detention center, and a majority of them are mental issues that need to be addressed. I gotta be careful. We had a closed session on our lawsuit. Say, put it this way, the gender identity issues go away the 1st of July because it was removed from the civil rights was taken out of. And so there is a lawyer who is very big into that, and she has said she's gonna file all of the cases she has pending before the 1st of July. So, and some of them are very, very expensive. Anyway, I learned that while I was at the juvenile detention center, so, and she wins 90% of her cases. She makes well over $1,000.
Yeah, let's just put it on for now and then we can.
Might be going.
You can't be going.
Or maybe the next two,
Yeah.
just in case I have to leave early for that garrison safety meeting there.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm done.
Alrighty.
Eight minutes for public comments.
Yeah, we've got 8 minutes, so we're trying to juggle it here. Can we take some public comments? We're probably try to be wrapped up by just 3 minutes if somebody's got something, and then we can come back in after.
Just a quick question concerning what David said concerning the Dizer ambulance crew. Part of their work is in Benton County. How will their funding from Tama County be affected by, will it be split? Does anybody know?
That hasn't been ironed out yet. From what I understand, it's going to work out in the wash. But the fact that Benton County said no money, because Belle Plaine responds into Tama all the way to Haven right now. So,
And that was a question I had been asked by a gal in southern Tama County that sits on that board of what, and I, the best of my ability was I answered that it should be reimbursed back and forth.
Right.
Depending on what.
and it's still, like I said, that's still being discussed at. They haven't ironed these things out yet. There's some 28E agreements that need to be updated or put in place in some cases. So, okay, thank you.
Cause we do have this thing up here northwest, don't we?
Correct.
Doesn't Grundy come? or
Grundy comes in
down?
Like Gladbrook, yeah.
Yeah. So there is some of that going on, of different coverage.
Sure, can you make it quick?
So tonight and on May 12th, second and third, district planning and community workshops by South Tama Schools. Tonight's at 6:30. Of course, the weather might be a factor. It's Partnership Center in Tama. Opportunity to provide feedback for 5-year strategic planning. At South Tama, they're having a lot of trouble. Obviously, brand new school building is not going to educate the children, so they want feedback from the public. And those of us sitting in this crowd that are older, wiser, and have been afraid to go home when we were in trouble at school, would like to go give a whole lot of feedback about what if the weather permits that. I think a big part of it is going to be what you guys are talking about, the mental health. I don't know why, I don't know what we're gonna do. The children are being punished for what their adults and sadly, even when their grandparents are doing for bad behaviors and not being at-home parents. So, I mean, most of us in this room knew this was gonna happen, we were gonna get to this point. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that could be said at this meeting tonight or on May 12th. It took a long time to get here, 3 generations, that's biblical. It's gonna take a really long time, if ever, to get back out of this. And again, just dealing with the children is not enough. Sometimes maybe the adult children that are maybe 40 years old need to have a good talking to also. Oh, no, always. And then I wondered if you could take 1 minute to talk about the TIF, just to explain that. So we're not making all this big bucks out of the Vienna project that was, that's an old project already. And if we have these storms go through, we'll see how much electricity that generates now they're taller than before. So would you please explain the TIF thing is why, and to why we're not making money off of that, please?
We'll address that when we come back out of closed
Okay.
session. We're at 9:26. I'd like to recess for a couple of minutes just for a restroom break before we go into closed session, if that works for everybody.
We stay in this room.
Huh?
Stay in this room for us.
Yeah, but we're going to recess.
Get my message.
Alright.
What kind of trash?
We need a motion in a second, then we'll do a roll call.
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
We move a second to go to closed session. This is to address litigation, Darren Wise, which is supervisors, case number LACV 00897 we're going in under, 21.5 C, discuss legislative with our council, make contact with her. We make
Neville? Aye. Nolan?
the,
Pepper?
Yeah. I haven't got a raise in 2 years. Can't afford for it, yeah.
We've been a good race this last 3 years. Don't look at that.
Yeah, I know.
everything else?
Yeah, I was asking if Heather could elaborate a little bit on that TIF being a project.
On the tip.
Of course, not that many people in here right now, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanna
I
take.
mean, mainly TIP works is, I'm not a huge expert in all of it, but ultimately back when the wind project in Glabrook came in for Vienna, they tipped it, which means they project, like, I don't know if it's 20 years worth of, money that would come in from the wind turbines. You take it all at once. And then my understanding from previous minutes and notes is they used it on the roads. And so now, when that money comes in each year, it's paying towards the loan that was, it's almost like a loan where you take all this future generation money that you're gonna get. And so we pay interest on that. So today we get that money in and it goes back out plus 50,000 taxpayer money on top of that. So it's something that we don't today get any money additional for what pays for the loan that was from the TIF is what happened. So I think it's 2031 roughly, we'll pay off that loan and then we would start receiving money at that 30% of property taxes from the wind company. So
So are you saying that the tip is not necessarily a good idea? It's basically a loan.
they look at, some counties use it to like do bridges, do roads, because it can be a huge amount, millions of dollars, you know, that you can use all at once. But otherwise it would have been, you know, like I said, that special valuation where you get enough, 0% first year up to that 30%. And you would, by year 7, you'd be at that max amount that you would get all the time. But yeah, counties do it different ways.
I see where things are cheaper now. But if we were to use it a different way, it'd be
Yeah.
managed.
And
And it can go to other places. I think it ends up.
Yeah, so if you tip it, the cities and the schools don't get money, you just take it off for yourself typically. I don't know if that's always the fact, but
The state backfills the schools.
From that money,
Yes.
from the tip money that.
Yeah.
David's Senator North portion, is it Stiles?
Cyrus.
He is a very individual for information on exactly how tip works. He's done a deep dive, so maybe we should ask him to put it in writing so we.
yeah. Yeah, it never hurts.
I think this is full of, you learn by your mistakes from years past. Good example of that. Is there any, in Iowa, they signed a contract or whatever the governor did that we have to buy so much, purchase so much energy from green energy, like solar and wind every year.
Like, I think it's like 15% or so, you know, and then, you know, so a certain amount comes from natural gas generation and a certain amount for coal and certain, you know. And so the state does buy some wind turbine energy. Is there any record of what the state pays for, you know, like so many kilowatts of energy produced by natural gas, wind, coal, where you can get a comparison of the cost of it?
I'm guessing if that is done, it's probably not very readily available because the numbers wouldn't be favorable to certain entities, and so I would guess that would probably might be under somebody's desk somewhere.
Yeah, I did see on, you know, local news channel had the, you know, the different types of electrical generation that's available in Iowa that Iowa purchases, and it gave the percent of, you know, which category that they purchased so much of. And I think wind energy was like 15%. And, they didn't have any dollar amounts on there for the cost.
Again, you understand that the local news is a lot running up.
Yep. On the TIF district, kind of like if you want a really good example, you go to Dave Sayers. He's really well versed on it, from what I understand. If you TIF something, it gives you a lot of money right then. So it's kind of like stealing from your children and grandchildren and spending that money that could be going into the taxes right away. So it's an immediate benefit to pay for high ticket items that you want right now. It's kind of like having a credit limit, a big credit card and going and spending it and then paying it back over a period of time. There were proceeds, there were a lot of profits that came from that, but they've already been spent. So till we get back to the point where we're receiving a positive cash flow from that, it's, Heather said 2031.
And there's a risk too, because I think during that, it was always said by prior members that the legislation changed. And so then they're bringing in less money. So like if the federal government removes subsidies and let's say they quit producing, then you know, what happens then, right? How do we do that? Cause then if we're not bringing in any money and we have a loan, that could get really bad too, right? So there's just a lot of risk because you're just banking on something that technology changes too. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's not gonna be available in the future.
Do you have any idea what the decommissioning is, how it reads is for like the Vienna, but
I think I have it somewhere. I need to research. I need to look into it.
talking about Salt Creek 1, it's been like 3 years ago. The person was explaining it to us, and they were gonna, after 16 years, after the field had been in 16 years, they were gonna start a decommissioning fund. Well, a lot of these companies, you know, when the stimulus money runs out, like it did previously, I think during Obama's term in office, 9 out of 10 green energy companies went bankrupt. And they didn't last 16 years. I was just wondering, you know, how the decommissioning might be worded for Vienna. And that's why it's important for our new
Zoning.
zoning rules to have that in there, you know, that.
So I sent the rest of the board, Lee County's draft proposal. And there's fairly well written, but there's one paragraph in there that caught my eye. And basically, not paraphrasing, cradle to grave, the county will not be responsible for any monies. It all lies with the agency putting the equipment in. So that's in there, that's in their draft. My personal position is, I don't want the county to be liable for any business that comes in. I don't care what it is. It needs to stand on its own. And the people have to be happy with it. If it requires subsidies, I personally don't like that. And I've been told, what about cheese and dairy and ethanol? Again, if something is valuable, then somebody will produce it and they will make a profit on it, or they won't produce it. So going down that path, when something hits my desk, that's what I'm looking for. It's got to stand on its own. It's got to make money for that, for the investors and for the people putting it in order for it to be a viable entity to be anywhere. Have plenty of money, not more than the taxpayers will allow, have plenty of money so we can cover things that are necessary, but I don't want to incur costs for stuff that doesn't belong to us. So. Got my voice back and my soapbox. Yeah.
Think we're good on agenda items. There's nothing else before the public. We will adjourn the meeting at 10:52.
Okay.
See ya.
See ya. Good going.
So
Nice meeting.